A new way to see your learning. Have you ever felt like you're just piling up facts without really connecting them? You read a chapter, you take notes, and then you move on. But when you try to remember it all later, it feels like a messy pile of information. A knowledge tree is a special tool that helps you organize your learning in a much more natural and powerful way. Think of it like a real tree. It has a main trunk, which represents the core topic you are studying. From this trunk, big branches grow out. These branches are the main ideas or questions related to your topic. And from those big branches, smaller twigs and leaves sprout, representing the specific details, facts and examples you discover. Unlike the linear notes you might be used to writing, a knowledge tree is visual. It doesn't just list information in a straight line from top to bottom. Instead, it shows you the structure of your knowledge. You can see, at a single glance, how one idea connects to another. This method moves you beyond simply collecting facts and pushes you toward understanding the relationships between them. It's the difference between having a list of ingredients and having a recipe that shows you how to combine them to create something amazing. This visual map helps you see the big picture, which is often lost when you just write line after line of text. The main goal of a knowledge tree is to help you with something called syntopic learning. This might sound like a fancy term, but the idea is simple. It means learning about a single subject by gathering information from many different sources. For example, instead of just reading one textbook about the solar system, you might also watch a documentary, read an article, and look at a website. A knowledge tree is the perfect place to bring all these different pieces of information together. You can see where different authors agree, where they disagree, and how their unique perspectives contribute to a fuller understanding of the topic as a whole. This approach transforms learning from a passive activity into an active one. You are not just a container for information, you become an architect of your own understanding. You are the one deciding where each piece of information fits. You are the one drawing the lines between concepts. This creative process makes learning more engaging and much more personal. It helps you build a strong, flexible framework of knowledge in your mind, rather than a fragile stack of isolated facts that can easily be forgotten. This is the first step toward becoming a more effective and curious lifelong learner. Why are knowledge trees so effective? The answer lies in how our brains are naturally wired to learn. Our minds don't think in straight lines or bullet points, they think in networks of connected ideas. When you learn something new, your brain creates new connections between neurons. A knowledge tree mirrors this natural process perfectly. By physically drawing lines and creating branches, you are helping your brain build and strengthen those neural pathways. You are essentially creating an external map of the mental map that is forming inside your head, making the learning process more concrete and intentional. This method also takes advantage of a powerful memory principle known as dual coding. This theory suggests that we remember information better when it is presented to us in both visual and verbal forms. When you create a knowledge tree, you are doing exactly that. You are using words for the labels on your trunk, branches and leaves, the verbal part. At the same time, you are creating a spatial visual structure with shapes, lines and colors, the visual part. This combination gives your brain two different ways to store and retrieve the information, which doubles your chances of remembering it later on. Furthermore, the act of building the tree forces you to think deeply about the material. You can't just copy and paste information onto a branch. You have to actively decide what the main idea is, what the supporting details are, and how they all relate. This process of sorting, organizing, and summarizing is where true understanding happens. It forces you to translate the information into your own words and your own structure. This is much more powerful than simply highlighting passages in a book, because you are actively constructing meaning rather than passively receiving it. This effort is what cements the knowledge firmly in your long-term memory. Think about trying to remember a long list of groceries versus remembering the layout of your local supermarket. The list is abstract and easy to forget, but you can probably walk through the entire store in your mind, picturing where the bread is, where the milk is, and where the vegetables are. That's because you have a mental map. A knowledge tree does the same thing for complex ideas. It turns an abstract list of facts into a memorable, navigable landscape. It gives your knowledge a shape and a place, making it much easier for your brain to hold on to and explore. Ready to build your own knowledge tree? It's easier than you think. Let's walk through the process step by step. The first step is to choose your central topic. This will be the trunk of your tree. Let's use a real-life example, comparing different systems of ethics. This is a big topic with many different viewpoints. So, you would write ethical systems in the center of your page or digital canvas and draw a box or circle around it. This is the foundation from which all your knowledge on this subject will grow. It's your starting point for this learning adventure. Next, you need to gather your sources and identify the main branches. For our ethics example, you might consult a philosophy textbook, an online encyclopedia, and maybe even a video lecture. As you review these sources, you will notice some major schools of thought. These will become your main branches. You might identify consequentialism, deontology, and virtue ethics as 3 big ideas. You would then draw 3 thick branches extending from your ethical system's trunk and label each one. These branches represent the primary categories that organize the entire subject. Now it's time to add the smaller branches and leaves. This is where you fill in the details. Under the consequentialism branch, you might add a smaller branch for utilitarianism. Then, as leaves on that smaller branch, you could add key concepts like the greatest good for the greatest number and the names of key thinkers like Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. You would do the same for your other main branches, filling them out with specific theories, definitions, and examples you find in your sources. This is how your tree begins to fill out with rich, detailed information. The final and most important step is to make connections and add your own thoughts. This is what makes it your knowledge tree. You might notice that while deontology and consequentialism seem very different, both try to provide a rational basis for moral action. You could draw a dotted line connecting these 2 branches and write a short note about this connection. You can also use different colors or symbols to mark questions you still have, ideas you find interesting, or points where your sources disagree. This personal layer is what transforms the tree from a simple summary into a powerful tool for critical thinking and deep learning. You don't need fancy equipment to start building knowledge trees. The simplest tools are often the most effective. A large sheet of paper, a pen, and maybe some colored pencils or highlighters are all you need to begin. Working on paper can feel very natural and gives you the freedom to draw and write anywhere you want without being limited by software. The physical act of drawing can also help reinforce the connections in your mind. Keep your paper trees in a binder or folder so you can revisit them and watch your physical forest of knowledge grow over time. If you prefer working digitally, there are many excellent tools available as well. Programs like Coggle, MindMeister, or even the smart art features in presentation software allow you to create clean, easily editable knowledge trees. The advantage of digital tools is that you can move branches around, add links to websites, and embed images or videos directly into your map. They are also easy to save, share, and expand upon later. Whether you choose paper or a digital canvas, the most important thing is to pick a tool that feels comfortable and encourages you to map out your ideas freely. To make your knowledge trees even better, here are a few simple tips. First, use keywords and short phrases instead of long sentences. The goal is to capture the essence of an idea, not to copy entire paragraphs. Second, use color and images to make your tree more engaging and memorable. Assign a different color to each main branch or draw small icons to represent key concepts. Third, don't be afraid to revise. Your understanding will change as you learn more, so feel free to go back and reorganize your tree, add new branches, or change connections. Your tree is a living document. Ultimately, building knowledge trees is about more than just a study technique. It's about changing your relationship with information. Each tree you create is a step toward building a vast, interconnected forest of knowledge in your mind. This practice helps you think more clearly, remember more effectively, and see connections you would have otherwise missed. It empowers you to become an active, curious learner who is not just consuming information, but building a deep and lasting understanding of the world. So pick a topic you're curious about and start growing your first tree today. Happy learning?